I don't know about you guys, but when I look at Disney and Lucasfilm, I'm beginning to only get this image in my head of Pennywise the dancing clown just stuck down below the sewer, talking to George Lucas and saying, "They all float down here, Georgie. They all float." Anything ranging from franchises like Indiana Jones to Star Wars to Willow, they all float down here. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support, and let's get into the subject. Now, Phoebe Waller-Bridge. She's been talking about Indy 5 a lot lately, in fact, quite obsessively, talking to the fan base directly, promoting this movie, trying to get it out there, and honestly, it really is just a shoehorn to kind of promote her Tomb Raider series or movie, whatever she's doing. I believe it's a series, correct me if I'm wrong, but she is working on a Tomb Raider project. That kind of was misunderstood. I think a lot of people took that as her becoming Tomb Raider, or Lara Croft herself, which is still up in the air. But focusing on what she had to say about Indiana Jones, The Dial of Destiny is quite concerning because it just goes to show you the ego of these people like Phoebe, Kathleen Kennedy, and others out there associated with Lucasfilm that continue to draw out audiences by destroying all these fan-favorite franchises. And just keep in mind, guys, Phoebe Waller-Bridge contributed to James Bond dying in No Time to Die, alright? Bond 25, to be specific. That was all her idea, make no mistake. That was all her idea right from the get-go. Now, moving to the next big thing, with Phoebe Waller-Bridge endlessly promoting Indy 5 ahead of its release, she recently went to speak directly to fans again. She delivered the following. "Well, social media is just the worst place to go, so I just generally avoid it, but from what I have seen in the news is that all these critics and media outlets are preparing for Dial of Destiny to be a box office failure, and to that I say it's absolutely ridiculous and completely false. This film is going to do fantastic. The minute you sit down, you will be drawn in almost immediately. It's that good. Never listen to these people predicting box office results, projections, or whatever, because they are never accurate and are just flat out lunacy beliefs." That's interesting, lunacy beliefs, okay? Moving on. "These are individuals," she says, "just trying to drag down a film that hasn't released yet just for the sake of it because it was a female lead, as of myself portraying Helena, and that just shows how unconfident people really are in this day and age, with changes being made in film." Now guys, before I get to the next batch of what she says, I just want to point out one big thing here. Very minor spoiler. The beginning of this movie is said to capture you. It is said to actually hook you in. It is a bait and switch. The beginning in this movie, to put things very not so detailed but also detailed at the same exact time, is, well, let's just say it's a flashback. Alright, you're gonna get young Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones, and that's it. Alright, I'll leave it at that. The de-aging stuff right in the beginning of the movie. That's why it feels like an indie movie. That's why it's going to draw in audiences where you think, Indy's back, baby. This movie and this franchise is kicking it. And then right there it goes downhill with a backstory for Helena. It focuses all on Helena and Teddy. And then eventually spills into the story of the return of Dr. Jones, where he's just along for the ride. Every single call that is made, every single decision that is made in this story is led by Helena. It's her call. That's basically what it generally is in the Dial of Destiny. So let's move into the next piece. Now we know that Phoebe Waller-Bridge is not likable in any sense. We've seen what she did with James Bond, what she's about to do with Tomb Raider. We see also what she has done with Solo: A Star Wars Story with the droid L337 talking about equal rights in the actual movie. It was so cringe, by the way. And now she's doing it yet again with cringy dialogue. I've talked about the dialogue in Indy 5 where it basically kind of shoves an educational piece in your face, and it kind of twists things around to make you feel shameful about certain events in history that are kind of just like how it is in today's day and age. You know, when we look at stuff like other, movies out there by Disney, the same exact thing goes as follows. There's always some kind of dialogue that is just cringeworthy material, but moving on to the next thing, alright? She continues, I can almost guarantee the masterpiece, or this masterpiece, will perform far better than what the so-called experts are predicting. Thankfully, we are not relying on only hardcore indie fans, who seem to be generally upset, but we also have regular moviegoers who are willing to check out a new adventure for a new generation that will draw them in for more sequels that myself and Kathy have been discussing for Helena. As I'm working on Tomb Raider, and I just couldn't help myself to talk that over with Kathy about Helena's adventures continuing, either on screen or on Disney Plus or something, whatever. So don't listen to the media or the critics. They are going to be completely wrong about those box office projections. It's just laughable how they come up with those numbers, and how Disney or Lucasfilm is going to lose so much money, blah blah blah. It's rubbish and always was. I am very happy with what we made. So you can see that she is really, really bothered by seeing those box office numbers, projections to be specific, guys, aka predictions, and interestingly enough, she is pointing it out there that, yeah, a sequel is in the works still, it is still being talked about. I don't see that happening, and I've said this so many times, this is like the 10th time I've said this, but I do not believe we're going to see an Indy 6, or whatever you want to call it, an Indy 5 sequel, either in the form of a TV show, or a movie in theaters, or on Disney Plus, whatever format they choose. It's not gonna happen. Period. The end. It's just not gonna happen. They can talk about it all they want, they can develop it all they want for the next year or two, but do I think it'll ever come to fruition? I highly doubt it. I really just don't see that happening. But moving on from this, what's really interesting is that she literally admits that we're not relying on hardcore indie fans to make this movie into a success, but that we're also relying on regular moviegoers. And basically what she's saying is that we don't have to worry about fans going to see in this movie. We are all counting on people that are non-fans, so just go ahead and check out this movie as a popcorn flick. And by the way, guys, you are going to get tons of those. So that's usually when you get a lot of good reviews. That's what happened with The Last Jedi. That's what happened with The Rise of Skywalker. A lot of the hardcore fans did not like those movies. And if you did like them, you know, you liked portions of those movies, not the entire films. So, interestingly, this is going to be the same exact scenario, I think. You're going to see that Rotten Tomatoes score bump up, maybe to around 69, 70%, maybe the mid-70s on Rotten Tomatoes after this movie releases on June 30th for a while. And then you're going to get more hardcore fans just either choosing to go ahead and see this movie at will, you know, or to just kind of check it out and get an idea of what it's really all about. And then you're going to see those numbers just tank. Because a lot of people are not going to get pre-tickets as much as they would for, let's say, for example, something that they would actually like that did not have agendas being thrown in them. Let's be honest about this. So, again, this is basically Helena's story, and they do kind of hook you in the beginning, and then it really is a bait and switch about 25 minutes later into the film. So anyways, guys, I would really love to hear what you all have to say about this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys next time.